Hi, my name's Dave. I'm a member of the Jedi Council. It's probably fair to say that I'm a bit of a collector. Have a range of Star Wars collectibles, probably going back to vintage, not many vintage, more 1990s, 2000s, all the way through to present day, with ranges that stretch both with the sideshow collectibles. I've got Hasbro pieces, I've got older Kenner pieces, also some of the more strange pieces such as the artifacts, and also Bandai. It's got quite a wide collection, and it's fair to say that it's more what's classed as non-vintage. Vintage is a range of pieces that came out during the original release of the movie, or not long after the original movies came out, the original trilogy. Anything outside of those don't tend to be referred to as vintage. So even pieces that come from the mid-90s would not be classed as vintage. That's not to say I didn't used to have vintage pieces. My love affair with Star Wars started when I was a child, and I did have pieces. Not many, but I did have some. As I grew older, my mum, to be fair, was a dominant force in my life as I was growing up, and she was adamant that perhaps as a young adult, Star Wars toys shouldn't be part of my life. Something which I now regret, but I agreed at the time. I was growing up, I was being made aware of a much wider world maybe, and so I willingly, voluntarily gave up a number of pieces of my collection. Something which I regret today, because I see the value of some of those pieces now. Anyway, so over the last few months, I've been thinking about moving back into the vintage range, hunting down the right pieces. And what's prevented me, perhaps, whilst I've been looking at more recent pieces, is the price. If you look at some of the scary and silly prices that vintage pieces go for, it sort of puts you off. It makes you think, I could never afford something like that. I could never really go for something like that. So you tend to find that you shy away from it. Well, that's what I've done. Shy away from looking at the vintage marketplace. However, over the last few months, that's changed, and I have been looking a little bit more keenly at the vintage marketplace. There are Facebook groups out there which are very good. I'm on a number of them, and I've been following them, looking at what sells, looking at the prices for some of the things that sell. And yes, there are expensive pieces out there. Yes, there are pieces which I can't justify spending money on, because for me, it just feels too much, even to recapture something that I felt may have been something from my childhood. But that, not to say that there are some bargains to be had as well. Mostly pieces which are more worn, which have a played look to them, that are not immaculate, that have not been maintained and kept in their boxes. But those are the pieces that I remember as a child anyway. The pieces that I had were played with, they were loved, they'd experienced a child's lifetime. So perhaps, just perhaps, with the right buying groups on Facebook and elsewhere, I'll be able to track down some of these pieces that I remember from my childhood. One that I would like to mention, and I will use quite a bit today actually, is a group called Oodles Marketplace and Oodles Armory. Marketplace does figures and ships. The Armory will do your missing weapons, missing attachments to vehicles, hoods, capes maybe from figures. Two very good marketplaces, to be honest, managed by a few moderators, including Scott McNair, a guy that I am close to and have a lot of time for. He's a very nice man. But also another guy called Neil Livesey, who I didn't know until recently, but then I discovered that I've known for a while through the Star Wars Fan Fun Day, which happens up in Burnley. He organises that and has been a key person within that, and it's something I've been going to for the last 7, 8, 9 years now. And I never realised he was part of that. So inadvertently I've come across someone who I already knew, and someone who I have dealt with without realising it. The pair of them are moderators, controllers of the Oodles marketplace, of the Oodles armoury, and also they're very knowledgeable about vintage items, and they're very good people to speak to if you want a little bit of advice, if you're finding your way, as I have been doing, looking for bargains but also looking for quality. So without going into too much more of raving about how good Oodles marketplace and armoury are, I'll just show you a couple of pieces. Now the first piece is a Scout Walker, an ATST, and it's one of the few pieces which I refused to give up when my mum made me give up voluntarily my collection when I was about 16, which has got to be about 30 years ago now. So, first piece is this. It is the Scout Walker, the ATST, also referred to lovingly, I think, as a chicken walker. It appeared in both Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I remember it more from Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is one of my favourite movies, which could be why I refused to give it up, because it reminds me of one of my favourite movies. Now the piece I've got here, whilst it's starting to yellow in places, some bits of it are still retain the original grey, other bits have started to go yellowy grey. Other than that, it's immaculate. It has all of the parts it should have. It's got the underarmour, which often goes missing. It's got the top gun, which often goes missing. It has the top turret, which also often goes missing. More importantly, it has all of the stickers, both on the lid and also within the cockpit itself and on the body, even including the two windows at the front. These are often things that go missing or they get damaged and not found on quite a few vintage pieces. So to have a piece for me, which is, it has all of its pieces, there is nothing missing from it. It has all of the stickers that it should have. It even has the original walking action it is meant to have. For me, that is about as good for me as a toy is going to be. Something that is, I think it was a 1982 piece, so that's now 38 years old. And so 38 years old, all there, nothing damaged on it. Yes, it's starting to yellow in places, but it's a sign of a toy that's loved. And for me, that's what matters about my collection. So, it does have its driver. Now, he's not the original driver that I had as a child. He is a driver that I got from Scott, a personal transaction with Scott. He's, as I said, he's a very nice man. He sent me the driver relatively recently, so I could complete my collection. And he is an original, he is vintage, he is stiff where he needs to still be stiff, he stands up. He's a very good piece actually, so thank you very much, Scott. He goes inside. The only thing that's missing from him is his gun. Believe it or not, it's the attachments, it's the weapons, it's the hoods, it's the cloaks. Those are the items that tend to make collecting more expensive. You can probably pick up a figure such as this, vintage, I think it's a 1984 piece. You could probably pick him up for, £5–10 tops. I wouldn't expect to pay much more than that for him, even in the good quality that he is. However, he's missing his weapon. Now, from going on to Oodles Marketplace, from talking to guys on there, and also looking elsewhere, I'm probably looking at somewhere in the region of 20 to 30, £25-ish for his gun alone. And all it is a pistol. And it's the same pistol that appeared on a couple of other releases of a similar range. I think the Leia also carried the same pistol. It's £25, and that's because his is the grey variant. Had it been the black variant, I might be looking at £100. So this is where the value comes in. This is where the cost comes into collecting some of these pieces, which is what makes them expensive, which makes them sought after, which makes them harder to find in good condition with everything that you want. So I'll just put that down for 1 second. Now, other pieces I have arranged next to me are pieces that I've actually bought recently through Oodles Marketplace. From Neil Livesey. First off, I will show you this, which is the Y-wing bomber with its original bomb, which clips on as it's meant to. It is 100% complete. Even its electronics work with the rotating cannon. The cockpit opens, and all all of the decals, the stickers are inside the cockpit, which makes it sought after because it's all complete. Cockpit locks. It has its bomb, as I said, and the bomb release works, which drops the bomb. It also has working undercarriage. Again, it's a little bit stiff, but then it's a 1983 piece, so there you go. All the legs fold up into the underbelly, and if I push that down, they release back down again. Very nice piece, to be fair. Now, I did have one of these when I was a child, and it is one of the pieces that I gave up when it was suggested to me. Honestly, I've got over it. I've not got over that. 30 years later, and I still regret giving away some of these pieces. Now that is 100% complete. The front guns are on it, the turret, everything works. Beautiful piece. Thank you very much, Neil, for organising and getting that to me. The fact that the electrics work as well is just a bonus. So thank you very much. And the other piece I got from Neil, again, perhaps one of the reasons I love that so much is because it came from Return of the Jedi, one of my favourite movies. Now, another fighter bomber that featured quite heavily in Return of the Jedi was the B-Wing. So, again, from Neil, and again, almost 100% complete. What is missing off this are the top and bottom guns. Now, they are not very expensive. I had a quick look online. I'm probably looking at £8–10 for each of the weapons, which isn't too bad, to be fair, but it all works. So, when I turn the dial, the wings fold out as they're meant to, and they stay in place. And if you notice, the cockpit rotates as it is meant to do in the film. As the fighter rotates, as it's spinning through space, the cockpit rotates, so the pilot is always the right way up. And also the legs, as you can see, there's one leg there, and there is a foot underneath the main engine, and with the press of that, they disappear and come out. Now again, there's electrics in this. I'm not certain the electrics work 100% like they're meant to. An interesting noise, I don't know what it's meant to represent. Now, this only arrived today, so I've not had a chance to have a look online to find out what type of sound it's meant to make. I don't think that is the right sound, to be fair. So, this might be a case of me taking it to pieces to find out what is wrong with it, hopefully trying to repair it. We shall see. But yes, they then fold back in, nice and tight. It's a nice piece, again, from Return of the Jedi, which is perhaps why I love it so much. And this was something I never had as a child. It was an expensive piece when it was released back in 1984, 83, 84. So this has got, it is 1984. Now my father died in 1984, early 1984, and times were tough. So this was something that was beyond what my mum could afford, and so it was something that was forever on my wish list, but something I could never have. So to get one now means a hell of a lot, to be fair, and I'm really, really happy that I've finally managed to get my hands on this, especially in such good condition with almost everything there. All the stickers are in place. Again, it is in very good condition. Slight yellowing to the plastic, but very, very slight. All in all, it's another piece that looks like it's been loved by a child. I'll put that down for a second. Now, there are, as you can probably see, a number of smaller vehicles here as well. Now, these have also come from Oodle's Marketplace and have arrived also within the last 24 hours. And these are called the mini rigs. None of them are particularly big. They're all one-person vehicles. and they were all released between about 1981 and 1983. So again, we're looking 38, 39 years old. And there's a range. There's this one which tends to be positioned, I think on the packaging this was shown with Boushh, and it is something for bounty hunters. It has a grabber at the back to put a Star Wars figure in, perhaps the person that Boushh has captured. The arms move, the gun moves, the turret opens. Again, all the stickers are on this piece, which is really nice to see for something that's this old. Similarly, you've got this here, which I did have as a child. I remember having this. Mine didn't look as good as this even 30 years ago, to be honest. So to find one in this good a condition, I'm quite happy about. All the stickers are on this piece, inside and on the outside. All the guns. Don't know if you can hear the click, but that's the way it's meant to work. And it's nice and tight. Rotates round. Looks a bit like an upright coffin there. And the original driver that was again on all the packaging was a Return of the Jedi figure called Klaatu. So I've managed to get myself a Klaatu, and he is in there. Another piece here is a small shuttle. So it's very similar to the Lando class shuttles that we do see in the movies. But it's a single person. So let me just release the wings. Wings collapse, which is what they're meant to do. All the weapons are there, the skids are underneath, the stickers are there. It's in very good condition again. The only thing with this is that it's starting to yellow, and that's just because of sunlight just affecting it. Now I believe hydrogen peroxide will repair that and take it back to a crispy white colour, and it might be something I might be prepared to give a try to. You open up the cockpit, again all the stickers are there. It's in very good condition, other than the yellowing. So, very happy with that piece. Quite often that was, when you saw that weird Darth Vader figure within it. Another piece, which again is another Imperial one, looks very similar to almost like a scout trooper head. Now this is, again, it's an Imperial vehicle. Opens up. Quite often I remember seeing an attack commander as being sat within this. I remember having one of these as a child. It didn't have the two wings. I don't know what happened to mine to be lacking the wings, but yeah, both wings are there, both wings work. Again, all the stickers are there. It's in very good condition considering its age. A small mobile tank, which I think was Rebel Alliance. I'm fairly certain this went with the Rebel Alliance figures. Opens up, you can put a figure sat inside. Again, all the stickers on the inside of it, stickers on the outside of it. Very, very good condition for its age. Possibly the simplest of all the pieces that are here today. And finally, this one, which again I remember having as a child, and I also remember snapping the end of the gun off as a child. So to have one, 100%, with its gun in one piece, its wheels are on the springs that it's meant to rotate, so it can go flat like that. And I remember that used to have, it was always marked, always photographed with a snow trooper in it. So yeah, there's a few pieces here that I managed to recover and reclaim from my childhood. And for me, maybe that's what this bit of collecting is about. It's about recovering what I had as a child, recapturing something that I remember as a child. My final thing that I want to go through is some figures, but given the size of them, I feel it's probably better off if I break the video here and I'll actually show the figures more from a handheld perspective so that you can actually see what they look like. They are much smaller, the detail is amazing. Most of them come from Return of the Jedi era, strangely enough. Some of them are new to me, some of them are figures that I've had since childhood. So if you give me 1 second, we will then move to them. Right then, so as I said, these are a few figures that I have Not that many vintage at the moment. I'm looking to expand my collection here. This is the first one, Rees from Return of the Jedi, one of Jabba's entourage at Jabba's palace and on his sail barge. A favourite figure of mine that, to be fair, this is a guy that has been with me for 30 years, more than 30 years. I had him as a child with his golden gun, and I've managed to retain him. He's one of the few that I didn't give up when my mum requested me to. Okay, so he's the first one. Again, very tight, stands up very nicely, which you can't really see when you're looking straight down on him. But very good condition, very tight limbs. Paintwork is not bad, to be fair. Okay, so the second one. Again, I'll choose one that I've had for a while. Now, you may recognise this guy from the Imperial Star Destroyer when Vader in Empire Strikes Back, is issuing instructions to Boba Fett and Boushh. This guy is Zuckuss. He is a protocol droid for an alien race that became a bounty hunter. So he was one of the ones who was briefed by Darth Vader to hunt for Han Solo and Princess Leia and the Millennium Falcon. He's got his original weapon. Again, this is a guy that I've had since I was a child. He, again, is very, very tight, given his age. His head is very tight when it comes to moving his head. And he is just, again, just a very, very nice piece, given his age. The paint on him is actually probably better than the Rees figure that I've just shown. Thirdly, a figure that I've, again, had for years. He's not in the best condition anymore, I'm afraid. He is the original Luke Skywalker. He's still got his decals, his paintwork, he's still good. He is tight, to be fair, considering his age. He is very good. I mean, we were looking at someone who is getting on for 40 years old now, and so maybe I'm doing him a disservice by saying he looks as poor as he does, because, to be honest, he doesn't look that bad. Slight wearing on his paintwork. I don't have the vintage X-Wing to go with this Luke. Maybe that's something I need to be looking for next. Now, also, I don't have his weapon. Now, if I'm looking for his weapon, which goes in his hand, obviously, I'm looking at a pretty penny. Next is an Imperial Guard. So this is from Return of the Jedi. It is one of Palpatine's Imperial Guards. Again, he doesn't have his staff, his force pike, unfortunately. That didn't last. But he, again, is in very good condition, very tight. When you look at his hands moving, his head doesn't move because of the way that it is part of the body. But he is in very, very good condition, all things said, to be fair. He's just lacking his force pike, unfortunately. And finally, for my figures that I've had since I was a child, the original Admiral Akbar. I'm fairly certain this guy didn't come with a weapon. I think he came maybe with like a baton or a staff. And one of the things I'm fairly excited, I'm like, yeah, okay, he's slightly worn when you look at his sleeve there, but his head is still in good condition. So for me, what I'm fairly excited about him is that the Y-Wing, which I've been showing earlier, the boxes and all the packaging for the Y-Wing shows Admiral Akbar as the pilot. Obviously, we all know he wasn't in the movie, but the way that the toy was advertised and portrayed, you always had Admiral Akbar. So I'm quite happy to put him into my new old Y-Wing. because that's where I used to keep him. So moving on to a few other pieces which I've received from Neil Livesey again. So the first one, we have Lando Calrissian from the Jabba's Palace and the sail barge on Tatooine. He has his helmet. His hair is a little bit rubbed. Poor Lando's starting to get a bit of a bald spot, I'm afraid. That's what happens with old age. But he has his weapon, which is brilliant. He is all complete. He is tight, again. Considering the fact that he's a little bit worn, he is still in very, very good condition. And as I said, I got him from Neil at a very good price, especially considering he still has his weapons and helmet. Alongside him, I also received Princess Leia as Boushh, however you want to pronounce it. Her helmet comes off again. She's got slight rubbing of her hair, which is unfortunate, but it's what happens with figures of this age, especially when the helmets go on and go off. But otherwise, very good condition, very tight. She comes with her weapons. Her arms are very tight. Her legs are very tight. So all in all, I'm very happy with the quality of that piece. Carrying on the theme of Jabba's Palace, I have a Bib Fortuna. Now, I did have this guy when I was a kid. I think these are now all going to be Return of the Jedi figures, and it's perhaps an indicator of how much that film means to me and how much I love it. But again, to have Bib Fortuna with his staff, with his coat, but also with the rubber body armour plate that he sends to wear as well. He is 100% complete and a really, really nice figure. To be fair, the paint on this guy as well is not really rubbed, so he is in very, very good condition. Very tight, as I would hope, and 100% complete. Continuing the theme of my Return of the Jedi Jabba's Palace is this red Nikto. Again, he's from the sail barge with his weapon. I like the colour scheme. Very different to any of the other pieces with his pale blue-green. Very tight, all pieces there. Again, very, very good condition piece. Now, this is a piece that I've had for years, and he again has followed me through thick and thin. And he is a Weequay guard from the Jabba's Palace stroke his sail barge. Again, immaculate. I managed to keep this guy in very, very good condition, to be fair, considering his age. Some very, very minor rubbing on his toes. His head is in good condition. He still has his weapon. The nice blue of his costume still shows through. All in all, a very nice piece, to be fair. The Rancor Guard. Now, this is a guy that, again, Neil Livesey has provided this through Oodle's Marketplace, but the condition of this guy is again fantastic. He has his headdress which comes off, which is something that often gets lost. So to have him 100% complete with his staff as well, or his prod for moving the Rancor along, he's again just a very, very good piece in very good condition. And then finally, Gamorean Guard. Jabba's Palace would never be complete without a Gamorean Guard with his axe. Again, from a Noodles Marketplace purchase, in exceptionally good condition. Slight rubbing to his helmet, to his horns, and to his tusks. But on the whole, very good condition. I remember having again one of these guys when I was a child, and then having to give him up. 100% complete, 100% tight. all in all, really, really nice piece. And that's it. I'll just move the camera so you can actually see all of the pieces. Really nice small collection at this stage. I'm hoping to carry on expanding it. I will let you know as I do. We'll add to it on our website as well, so you can see what they are and where they've come from. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sticking with me whilst I've gone down a little bit of memory lane to go through these figures and the spaceships. May the Force be with you.